Alright, so I don't know when this video will be uploaded and stuff. This is part 1 of the walkthrough for the bot Wendy. I am happy to say that I have an authoritative guide and stuff because it's not easy to find the time to focus deeply enough or just find the right setup to focus deeply enough to get just a totally uh, dominating game. Though of course Stockfish 17 sees that it's not totally dominating. Any human effort uh, as evaluated by Stockfish at enough at enough depth will show that human effort is flawed. Um, there's just I mean, you're basically comparing an electronically driven brain that has such controllable oscillations, has such oscillations that you can just factor out versus a chemically driven brain that uses some electricity and stuff. It's electricity depending on chemicals, depending on electricity, and it's like it's just it creates inconsistency. And to weed out those inconsistencies, it takes more work than it takes more time than a bot takes to get good at this stuff. But anyway, so um, going over the statistics here to certify this guide. Domination percent is 90%. That's given 1 minute to analyze each move. So I don't see a lot of variance going to 120 and 180 and stuff, though I can double check. I mean, it's not like I can't make another episode. Um, Peace activity very high, which is uh, which is good. And accuracy percentage is 81 at Stockfish's level of discernment. So that's this is pretty authoritative. Um, we'll also get to see a little bit of what Black was thinking here. So now it's looking at this issue. 0.4 is 0.8. 0.4 is still a palpable lead, I think. Here. Right, actually, no, I'm going to go through each move and then see how many wins I left for myself here. First move, don't worry about it. These are all just this is all just book stuff. Stuff I know all too well. Okay. I mean, pretty slow opening, I guess, in terms of rate of improvement. Okay, things are still looking good. Still looking good. Okay, I think this is where, yeah, I think this is what D2 caused here. Yeah, so playing D2 is actually a bad idea because when you go to the XD5, you just drastically get the amount of you get a huge reduction in the amount of possible wins, and which is not necessary and stuff. Had you gone with C3, well, you have just I mean, we could also chalk it up to Black's play too here a little bit. Black was applying some pressure. At move 7, the game is pretty much lost for Black. Wow. I think it's possible that Wendy's just a really weak bot too. Losing out from the opening, I mean, I just don't see the logic. It's just not necessary and stuff. Openings are, I mean, I'm not going to say openings are solved. I'm just going to say that they're much easier to remember and stuff. That's the portion of chess that you can memorize without any real penalty. Reason why I advocate for more improvisational chess is because it can be way stronger. Okay. So, all right, that's really annoying. I hate when my phone goes off when I'm busy. I should have silenced it. Okay, so oh no, but here white recovers. Oh, very nice. Okay. So I wasn't being a complete idiot. I knew I wanted to keep up the pressure and just keep um being aggressive and timing attacks correctly, just grinding things out um in a solid way, just with a solid defense, trying to address as much as possible. Following a few basic principles here basically gave the game away. I mean, look, by move 21, white is at an overt advantage, but then I blundered heavily by choosing bishop d6 instead of just, going with low-level chess instead of threatening, instead of trying to compel a mate here and stuff. Want to exchange the rooks and then, okay. Wow, this actually might be a force mate. So this is interesting. So let's see. I decoy the bishop here for this rook. Takes. It's a poisoned. Doesn't take with the rook and stuff. Doesn't take the gambit. And takes here is taking with initiative, basically forcing black to defend, eroding the king's side. Okay, I see. So you don't take the rook because you're just making your other rook weaker. You don't get the benefit of paired rooks, which you need in this balance of the game. Here, oh, and then the game's a wrap. White has won this. Yeah, no, forced mate in 20 is all too realistic. White wants to avoid a forced stalemate and stuff, so he fights the pawns a little bit. Boom. Doesn't even do it like that. Yeah. Weird. Not sure why it goes queen g8 instead of e queen to e7. That's weird. Okay, anyway, so I mean, I'm gonna make a video on Stockfish's code anyway. So, but here I think I kind of see the idea. So like I make the. I mean, I know I was starting the mating net here. I was trying to balance between fighting the king's defender and closing down the mate and stuff. The chess engine got overwhelmed by this. It's just going to defend at futility and stuff. I control too much space. I'm advancing and stuff. It's too much initiative. You can't undervalue initiative. You should try to expend for initiative if you cannot sacrifice for initiative. Um, that can get you like a 96, 97% accuracy game. If done correctly. And if I'm talking about and by done correctly, I mean the way Paul Murphy did it and stuff. Okay, no. This is totally authoritative. By move 22, it's a total wash and stuff. Now, could this have gone to 30 centipawns? Sure, because there's the blunder on move 5, move 7, move 9, 13, and stuff. But hey, yeah, no, you have a damn good chance following this guide. Let's just go through what the ideas are here. Here, I just go for a strong opening and stuff. I'm not afraid to use a really deep book opening because I know I can. I know I'm gonna have mobility to uh, to work with it and create pressure and fight. Um, I'm I'm thinking of sharpen my opening towards the king here, but at this point, um, I'm focusing on saving pieces while affecting the balance of material. I think using my bishop here was the better idea because I basically I'd be seeing a lot of compensation for this bishop. Hmm. You're just creating another threat here, basically transposing from threat to threat, not giving the computer time to breathe, which is good. You don't have to feel remorse for computers. Hmm. And yeah, I mean, white here is just saving pieces and avoiding a stalemate and stuff. It's actually kind of basic to intermediate chess right here. We're not talking about like statics, using statics to predict what the end game is going to be like and stuff like that, and going into deep calculation and deep lines. Um, I have to say, using statics to forecast is I'm a bit weak on and stuff. Like um, so I wouldn't be able to teach you that too well. I mean, I could teach you about balances, which I will in the upcoming literature that I'll be publishing. Um, and but how do I say it? Like, I guess it could be said that like from a static position, um, the the pieces that you're leading with, are going to be better at fighting the king, the opponent's pieces that are fighting for its king or fighting the king. Like if you're leading with a knight and bishop, you're not thinking of checkmating, you're thinking of fighting and stuff. And if you're not thinking of fighting, well, your pieces certainly are. So there. So and hmm. Then another thing is like keeping mobile formations and piece coordinations to maximize pressure and just kind of shuffling around and grinding for little advantages you could steal away and stuff. But that pressure does create weaknesses, and then, like it becomes like having an orange in your hand and you're like squeezing it and squeezing it and squeezing, creating more and more weaknesses and stuff until regardless of how strong your opponent's mind is, their pieces are not strong. Um, which is why I say to not make the game psychological. Anything psychological you want to do, you should express through your own pieces towards your opponent's pieces because it's about pieces versus pieces. If you make it personal and stuff, then losing is going to be very personal. Your emotions are going to cloud your thinking and stuff. You can read up on it. That's what emotions do. Emotions are they're an energy you have that are in a very sensitive application. Here, I mean, I wasn't really watching the attack with the rook. I'm pretty sure that shouldn't have been addressed. Like maybe just interfere with the bishop to sack it. But then again, I wouldn't be addressing much doing that. It's just that the game's kind of a wrap right now. So again, here, opening principles, fighting for control of the center, don't move the same piece twice, yada yada, just normal shit. So this on pre-queen, I mean, I just don't. Yeah, I was giving the computer too many problems in the opening, and they were just like, okay. I basically made the computer throw the game. Something smells really tasty, so just turned around. Um, hmm. Transposing and keeping up threats, and Yeah, black's mistake here was trying to spearhead with the rook, basically using the rook as the main fighting unit. Um, that's not what rooks do in this situation. A lone rook is a disruptor. Um, it's it is very slow on diagonals, which is a huge weakness. Um, so you could actually dominate with a bishop doing that, and the paired rooks can attack, though it will be slow and stuff. Rooks have to be bought time to be effective. That's the thing. I think that was a big error in Black's thinking here. I mean, sorry, I guess that reflects the big error in Black's thinking here. I need to stop with the overly contextual statements and need to be more precise and respective to detail with my words. Like it's annoying me. Okay, what else here? We're not moving the bishop up here by any means. Ruining my pawn's mobility for what? For what? So bishop's not even gonna be strong there. So it's like, okay, you're doing the mating net. Why? So you could, have the queen behind the bishop. We didn't take this free pawn here as well because the knight um ha- the knight hardens up the seventh rank too much to do that. Really, it basically makes my queen slower at pressing the threat and making black react. Um, really not giving the computer options here, which is great advice from uh, Super Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen. Says if you want to crush chess computers, you should limit their options, which is great because that means it crushes humans too. So yeah. So this 1500 bot um, got absolutely demolished, blown out, and it doesn't take much of a guide to explain how to do it. It's it's really just this thing fell apart like a Jenga tower. Some endgame principles here, taking out the king to fight in the endgame where a lot of the pieces are off the board. Guess we can go over the mating sequence. Around here, I start pressing for mate. I'm still fighting the king's defenders though and stuff. Um, it's just not necessary for me to uh, cut it short here and then mate in 5 moves or whatever. Though, I mean, M19. Yeah, M7. Yeah, is 7 moves. It wasn't 5. I was just, trying to do a rapid calculation in my head with so. Fighting. I lose focus on the king net because I want these paired queens to lock in that win, which is always preferable in this type of time control. And yeah, this would be, how to classify this mate or describe it? Huh. Yeah, it's just more fighting principles of, going where you're mobile and stuff. All right. I think we made it clear enough. I'll just do one more slow run through so you can see the ideas here. So look at the kind of things I decide to do. It's about ideas, not moves, okay? Because this bot knows variations and probably won't do the same thing twice. Yeah, see? Lots of continuous pressure and transposing and solving out of stuff.